Okay, so after spending 3 months in Cuenca, we were there from November through the end of January. We have a list of pros and cons that you might want to consider if you're thinking about going to Cuenca.
Yeah, so they might not necessarily be your pros and cons. They're just something that we've kind of, created a list about and that we want to talk about. Because when we were researching for Cuenca, I didn't really find a lot on YouTube of current data. So these are just our pros and cons, guys.
From our experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so pro number one would be the weather.
The weather for a lot of people, is a definite pro in Cuenca. It is mild pretty much year round. I don't know if they'd call it eternal spring, but I mean, it ranges between high 40s, low 50s overnight into the 70s, mid 70s and that during the day. So it's pretty consistently that temperature, but it's not to say there's still not a lot of weather swings. But we'll talk about that in the con section.
Because it's a pro and a con, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. For us.
How drinkable the water is. We were pleasantly surprised that it's a big pro, that you could just turn on the tap, drink the water out of the tap, and it is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Only in Cuenca, though, from what I understand.
Nowhere else in Ecuador, they only talked about how Cuenca has a good water purification plant, and everybody drinks the water. And we had no issues. We drank it every day.
It was great. Yeah.
No problems. It's very good.
Also, another big pro was the affordable real estate. So Jay and I have been traveling for over 4 years, and I think this is probably one of the locations that we found value for money and affordability as well.
Yeah, it was, and it's not just the rental market. The rental market is affordable. Short-term stay, you're going to pay a higher premium for, but long-term rentals, we saw in like $250 US, $300 US, $350, $400, $500, depending on whether you need, 1 bedroom through 3 bedrooms, furnished and unfurnished. There was a big range of pricing.
Mm-hmm.
A little more expensive in the short term. The short term we paid was $500, but that included all the utilities and internet and things like that. So we didn't think that was bad. People seem to think, they'll tell us that we paid too much, but with all inclusive, I didn't think that was that bad for a short term stay.
Yeah.
But you can definitely find some really good pricing. And again, with the real estate market, if you're looking to purchase a property, yeah, definitely some of the least expensive real estate that we've seen in our travels.
Yeah, for sure. Walkability. I would say overall, Cuenca is pretty walkable, especially downtown. In the centro, there's, the sidewalks are wide. They're nicely, they're not all broken up and, falling apart. So I think it's definitely a walkable city.
Not to say that if you have mobility challenges that you may not encounter some depending on where you live, because there is some up and down to the city as far as, living in different neighborhoods and going maybe up into El Centro and things like that. There's stairs, there's ramps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something to consider. Definitely if you're going to spend any time there, it might be good if you have any type of issues getting around that you really look at the area you want to stay in and make sure that it's going to fit your lifestyle.
Yeah, when we were living in El Verjel, the sidewalk was probably like a normal sidewalk and a half wide, but then their laneways would go across the sidewalks and they would there's like a big cut in, so it would be like down and up. So if you had like a mobility scooter or mobility issues in general, that might be an issue.
Active expat community. Again, for us in all of our travels, this is one of the most welcoming expat communities that we've ever really experienced. There are a couple places. Did we talk about them in our last video?
Yes, we did. We'll mention them really quick in this video, though.
The common grounds, and what's the restaurant?
Sabatinos.
Yeah. There's weekend markets that alternate between those two locations, and you can meet lots of expats there. But there are, I guess, in a city of 440,000, they estimate about 10,000 expats. But it was funny. It seemed like once we met a couple of people, we ran into them all the time.
Yeah.
But again, very welcoming, very knowledgeable, very, very outgoing as far as wanting to share that knowledge with newcomers and things like that. So if you're worried about meeting people or finding your people, you shouldn't have any problem there meeting some people and figuring it out.
Yeah. And even if like the markets aren't your thing, to go to Sabatinos or what's the other one, Common Grounds, just go on Facebook and go onto the expat sites and stuff. They're very active on there as well, and they have so much information that they can give you if you're new coming to Cuenca. So go ahead and check out Facebook for sure.
Definitely post on the Cuenca expat site every day.
Yeah. So the next pro is they had affordable food and the variety of food was there.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed not only local food, but having, international variety as well.
Yeah, after 3 months, I'd have to guess that we probably visited
A fraction,
a
yeah.
tenth of the restaurants available there. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how long you have to live there to try all the restaurants. There's so many. And so
Yeah.
many little mom and pop almuerzo shops all over the streets and stuff.
And it's affordable.
Yeah, $2.25 for lunch. $2.25 Canadian.
Yes, it's definitely, and that was a drink, a main plate, a soup, and a dessert. Come on now.
Sometimes. Not always dessert.
Not always dessert, but dessert would be like a piece of fruit or a candy or
Yeah.
chocolate or something sweet at the end of your meal. But yeah, it was very, and even the vendors in and around Centro, everything is $1.
Seems like it.
Yeah, everything was $1. That
keeps it easy. You just pull out a little $1 coin. That's all they $1.
Yep.
Even at the markets, a lot of fruits and things like that were $1.
Yes, very, very easy, and love the variety. Another thing that we really enjoyed was walking the river. Now there's 3 major rivers that run through Cuenca, and we loved walking along all of them.
Yes. Yeah, they were all beautiful trees up and down both sides, lots of shade, lots of park-like area, and very well cared for too.
Yes.
The ants that they have there that do all the cleaning are amazing. The city is beautiful.
Yeah, it is very clean.
Well kept, well groomed. All the parks, and considering how much parkland there is, it's all well groomed.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Nice.
Yeah. Last 2 things we have on our pros list are the friendly locals. It seemed like everybody that we met was, even though we didn't really speak a lot of Spanish because we're still working on our Spanish, everybody was super friendly and willing to work with us and try and figure out what we were saying. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friendly community for sure.
And laid back. Cuenca is very chill, very laid back. I mean, you could be as busy as you want to be.
Yeah.
But
I think that's part of the South American vibe. Everything's just kind of laid back, a little more chill down here. There is no rush. If you're on time, you're early.
Yeah.
Just plan for that. That's something it's a pro that is laid back, but it kind of creeps into the con column if you're one of those people that likes to keep a tight schedule and everything's on time and all that.
Yeah.
If you're going down to retire, you got to let that go.
Yes. And also another thing with their laid back vibe is things do close on Sundays, and they do close in the noon hour, so they can actually have a break.
A couple hours, noon till 2, you'll see things close, and everybody goes and has lunch and probably a little siesta. I don't know.
So not everything is accessible 24/7 kind of thing.
Right.
365 basically.
Yeah.
So that's our pros list. I mean, there are so many more pros, but I think those were the main ones. So let's
the cons. Let's do the cons. Let's start with weather. We'll start with weather since we told you it's a pro and a con.
Yeah.
For us, what we found, when we arrived in November, it was very rainy, and we were told that was kind of unseasonal and not normal. But I mean, it rained every day for the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We were like, oh my God, we should be getting on a plane. It's crazy. But that being said, after that, once we got through that period, it still seemed like, despite being mild weather, it still seemed like you could go through 3 seasons in a day.
Yeah.
You could walk out earlier in the morning and maybe have a sweater on, and by lunchtime you got to have an umbrella because you're getting a little bit of rain. And then in the afternoon, you're taking off your sweater and trying to put on a pair of shorts and carrying your umbrella to keep the sun off you because it's so much warmer.
Exactly.
So it seemed like every time we went out of the apartment, you had to be ready for 2 or 3 seasons of weather.
Yeah. So that wasn't ideal. And I would say for me, it was a bigger pro than a con. Or no, for me, it was a bigger con than a pro. Just because I just didn't like to, what's the weather going to be like? It's nice right now, but who knows in an hour or 2 what it's going to be like. It wasn't very consistent. It fluctuated so much throughout the day.
And then by after dinner, we'd want a jacket maybe, or you might even want a hat.
Yeah.
Because you're so cool.
Yeah, I am cool. So, the second biggest thing was...
This is a vowel. This is a vowel.
What, this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll get to other cons, but I know this is going to seem like a weird one, and I didn't really understand it because this is the first time it's happened since we've been traveling for over 4.5 years.
Yeah, we've never experienced this anywhere else.
So when you're in the grocery store and you have a buggy,
Cart.
and you pull the cart up to the teller to pay for your things, you leave the cart at the front of where you put the food onto the belt. You just leave it there. The cart doesn't pass through in between.
That's how they do it here. They just unload their groceries onto it, leave the cart sitting there, and go through and leave.
So I was always confused, is it the next person's responsibility to take it and put it away, or just put it away and then put your cart up to the, it was very confusing.
There was always a bunch of empty carts strewn about in front of all the tellers.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I got all mixed up.
I don't know if there's somebody who's supposed to just take all those away and they're just
yeah.
slow at it, but there's always a pile of empty carts just jamming up the area, which was different.
Yeah, it was different. We've never come across that before, so at first I wasn't sure what the heck was happening. Like, did that person forget their cart was there? Am I supposed to move it? Anyways, yeah. Something different.
Some of these cons are obviously
personal,
first world problems.
Yeah.
But they're as much observations as there are cons. I don't think any of these cons are going to make you not want to move to
No, not at all.
Cuenca.
Not at all.
But it's just things that you might see yourself when you get there and go, oh yeah, I see what they're talking about.
Anyway, so now you know about the cart situation in the grocery stores.
Oh, speaking of stores, grocery stores, any store that you go into, they have a difficult time making change. And we've seen this in other South American countries as well. Sometimes in Southeast Asia, but for the most part, you have to try and make sure that you're carrying small bills and pocket change, because a lot of times you'd go to buy something at a convenience store, a drink or whatever, and they wouldn't be able to change like a $10 bill. And I could understand if it was like large denominations, but when you go to the bank machine there, it was spitting out like 20s and things like that. And you'd go to a store with a 20 and they'd be like, oh no, we can't change that. And sometimes it got a little bit frustrating. You're like, okay, what am I supposed to do to try and break a 20? Like these are smaller bills, or not even, we didn't even think they were that big of a bill, but.
So always carry change in small bills if you can, and change them. Where would you say change them at the grocery store if you can change them?
Obviously at the grocery store, wherever you're spending a larger amount of money, you try and break 100 down and things like that. If you're spending $2 trying to break 100, it's not going to go well.
No.
But if you're spending 60 at the grocery store, you can likely break that 100 there.
Yeah. Oh. So let's talk about the driving in Cuenca. Holy cow, the bus drivers are, I don't even know how to describe it, but when you get onto the bus, you need to tap your card quick, hang on the whole time, and sit down, because it's kind of like a free-for-all sometimes.
This one really varied. There was times you got on and the bus driver was grabbing gears like he was in the Indianapolis 500 and trying to catch up. And then you'd get on it. We got on one bus at night, and we thought we were just looking at each other laughing, because he drove 13 kilometers per hour for like
the whole time.
And we were like, what is
I felt like we're on candid camera. Like, what is happening right now?
The complete opposite. And it's the only time it ever happened. We were just like, what is happening? Like, we're literally the slow crawl through the city to get home.
Yeah,
so that was weird. But it's not just the buses. I mean, that's something you got to be aware of, because we saw people getting thrown around. And then cars frequently pull out in front of the buses, and we've seen people come right out of their seats when they jump on the brakes trying to stop to avoid this car.
Yeah.
So you really got to kind of pay attention. But while we were there, a couple that we met, she actually got hit by a car crossing at a crosswalk. So we said that like they drive pretty aggressively, and even the Ecuadorians say Ecuadorians are different behind the wheel. We never did really figure out 100% the right of way thing. Like, you could have a green light and a crosswalk, and you could be walking across, and the cars still turn through it and cross the crosswalk, and they won't necessarily wait for you. So you really, really have to pay attention. It's definitely not like a lot of places where we're used to. Pedestrians do not have the right of way.
Yeah, that we've experienced anyway. So I don't know if they're supposed to abide by the green walking guy when we have the walk across, or are we just supposed to have our eyes open all the time and be aware?
Which is always better to be.
Yeah,
it's better to be
aware
right than dead right. So
yeah, exactly.
Avoid the cars.
So just a little tidbit. The next one is a cultural one, I think, because we have experienced this in other countries. It's just not in Cuenca, but people don't tend to share the sidewalk. And I don't know why this is. I don't know if it's a Canadian thing on our behalf, because we will see somebody coming towards us on the sidewalk like meters away, and we'll just, drift to this one side so we can pass normally. But not in Cuenca. It's, if you're walking arm in arm or two or three along with a group of friends, they do not move over. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know. And we literally saw people bang into each other. Like, you'll get couples that are walking side by side and they bump into each other because neither one of them moves. And I'm like,
I don't know. We're just not used to that.
We're just not used to that, I guess. I don't know. It's just a different one. Like, you see people coming, you think you would just naturally gravitate one way or another.
Make space and share the sidewalk.
Some people, obviously, we watched. Some people just did not pay attention at all. And that was fine. Whatever, you're not paying attention. But some would be walking along looking ahead, and they still would see people and nobody would move over. But
yeah.
I don't know.
So
We just find that one kind of funny. I'm like, what happens if 2 groups of 4 come together? It's just like a collision. They're all banging like bumper cars. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
it's just something that we've noticed, not only in Cuenca, but all around. But it's still kind of frustrating sometimes.
Okay. Our experience with booking flights in South America in general, and specifically into Cuenca, if you want to fly right into Cuenca, that we couldn't find any direct flights that shortened it. You always had to make some stops on the way in from North America. And getting around South America, we find that the flights seem quite pricey. It was very expensive, and especially if you have like any type of luggage, you want to bring like a check bag or something, it really jumps the price up. It seems like you can fly around Europe and Southeast Asia for much lower prices than South America itself. So if you're interested in living in Cuenca but touring around South America, you really want to take into consideration what those costs are, because they're much higher, we found, than in other places we've been.
Yes, for sure.
That being said, we when we left Cuenca, we flew out from Guayaquil. It was about a 4-hour drive to the airport there, but you could fly internationally directly from Guayaquil. So I thought the drive from Cuenca to Guayaquil was beautiful. It was beautiful mountains, beautiful drive, but you got to take that into consideration as a 4-hour drive to the airport if you wanted to go that route and avoid a flight.
Right. It was $12 per person for that 4-hour bus ride too.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely affordable. It's affordable,
sure.
but it's just time, right?
Yeah.
The internet. So the internet we had at our apartment was fine. We had I don't know, just your normal speed internet, nothing super fast. But as far as using your cell phone, and then in the downtown area, there is like a public Wi-Fi network that they have set up. But we found that once you got downtown, a lot of times when you're walking down between the big buildings and all that stuff, and as soon as you go into a building, you would lose your signal on your phone and you'd lose access to that public Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So if you're relying on your phone for something like Google Translate or things like that, a lot of times we found that it just wouldn't work when you're downtown in stores, or even, like I say, sometimes between different buildings, the signals would get blocked.
Yeah, or even like to navigate, it would. I got really frustrated with not having internet downtown. But I mean, so you can download the Google Maps offline, and use that for getting around. That might be more helpful than trying to rely on data. And
I'm pretty sure you can do that with both Google Maps and with Google Translate. You want to download the languages you need and download offline maps so that it helps you when you can't necessarily get a signal on your phone.
Yeah, that would definitely help for sure.
Just a suggestion. Spanish, another suggestion.
This is a big one.
This is a big one. We took a lot of flack. About not knowing Spanish.
We're trying, guys.
We're
trying.
We completely understand. We didn't go there expecting everyone to speak English. We still don't expect everyone to speak English. We get it. It's a Spanish-speaking country.
Yes.
But we also can't learn Spanish in the first week. We didn't plan this like years in advance. We didn't think, okay, let's start learning Spanish now so that 2 years from now we'll be fluent and can go to Ecuador. We just arrived with very little Spanish knowledge. So, I mean, honestly, we've been doing an Spanish app every day for months now. And we have learned a lot of Spanish words and things like that. Conversation is still difficult, obviously, but it's coming. It just takes time.
It does.
That being said, there was a lot less Spanish spoken than we kind of led to believe from watching videos.
We were under the understanding that you could get away with maybe, just a little bit of Spanish, but in our experience,
especially
you needed to know more.
In the centro.
Yeah.
But and again, we don't expect them to speak Spanish.
No, not at all.
This is what we saw online, is that people talk like, oh yeah, you can get by with very little. A lot of people speak English. As soon as you get out of Centro, we found none of the restaurants, none of the shops, all that kind of stuff weren't speaking English.
No.
Which is fine. We know we need to learn it.
Yes.
But if you're going down there with that same impression that we had from watching too many YouTube videos that, you can speak a lot of English, you might be surprised.
That's not the case, guys.
Again, if you're going to hang out with a bunch of expats and stuff, you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you'll have a much better experience interacting with the vendors at the markets and things like that. If you have some understanding of Spanish, if you can speak it a bit, and you are interested in trying to learn it and get better at it, that will just make. I think we would have a way better experience in South America in general if we were more fluent in Spanish.
100%.
I think it goes without saying.
Yeah.
So again, a suggestion. You don't have to have it, but I think you'll be less frustrated if you do speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So
big con.
The last one is a big con. And again, this is a debatable one, but safety. Now, again, we talked about it. We've traveled a lot of places in the world, and this is one of the first times that we actually had the locals were the ones telling us about safety and how unsafe things are. a lot of
Right.
times you'll see on the news like, oh, don't go to Mexico for spring break, it's not safe, and don't go to Thailand, it's not safe, and don't go to here. And then when you go to those countries, they're like, I don't know what they're talking about. All the locals are like, no, it's great here, no problem. You know, don't leave your bag laying around. You might get pickpocketed, whatever.
Yeah.
But we came to Cuenca thinking, okay, you know, we'll see what it's like. And they're like, oh, it's very dangerous here in Ecuador. Don't leave Cuenca. Don't go to Guayaquil. Don't go to the coast. There's a lot of crime there. Don't go to Quito.
There was this undertone of safety.
Yeah, and that may have just been like in our minds because so
Yeah.
many people were talking about how dangerous it had become in Ecuador. But we just felt like Cuenca felt like an island to us now. We're like, okay, now we're in the Cuenca bubble. It's safe and it's beautiful, but
Right.
don't go explore Ecuador too much because it's so unsafe. So obviously we've seen lots of people that have explored other areas. We went out to different areas. We went to Baños and some different things.
Yeah.
Or Baños?
Baños.
Not the bathroom, the town.
Yeah.
And we went and explored different areas and it was fine. And I would imagine for most people 9 times out of 10 it is fine, but even when all the locals are telling you how unsafe it is, it just kind of sticks in the back of your head like, I don't know how far we want to go.
Yeah. Like renting a bike and traveling around was a definite no. Like everybody that we talked to that rented bikes or that kind of thing were like, we wouldn't recommend it. Go in a group, go in a tour, that kind of thing.
Right. And again, that's just our experience. I know there's lots of people that'll tell you how
Yeah.
safe it is and, oh no, I've had no problems, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We had no problems. One girl that we met in one of our tour groups was actually mugged in Cuenca a few years ago and robbed for some cash, whatever. You know, she was fine, nothing serious, but it happened, and I did talk to people that it actually happened to.
Yeah.
So something to consider. We felt fine at no time walking around. Do we have any issues? We walked from our apartment in Alverhel to Centro. We were there at midnight for fireworks and things like that, and still walked home. I wouldn't recommend it if you're alone. We were always together as a couple, that kind of thing. We were on some main well-lit streets, walking back and forth. Never had any issue, and never at any real point even felt like we were in a sketchy situation or concern.
No.
But
I always felt like,
always seems like an underlying tone.
yeah, I always felt like this when we traveled to Cuenca versus, you know, Southeast Asia, different things, this is the first time I ever had that always in the back of my head. Like, be more aware of your surroundings, what you have on you. You know, if somebody bumps into you, like I always check my pockets, or, you know, put the bag on the front of me when I'm in a crowd, kind of thing. Yeah. So it was always I was very much more aware of my things and people around me and where I'm going and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, that being said, from all the expats that we talked to in Cuenca, they're like, oh no, it's fine here. Cuenca's the safest place in Ecuador. And that's kind of what we said. Like, okay, if you're in Cuenca, everybody thinks it's great. You're in Cuenca, it's wonderful. But you just felt like leaving Cuenca wasn't a great option. So if you're looking to go live in Cuenca so you can explore all of Ecuador in your retirement, it's something to consider. I don't want it to like stop anyone from doing anything. No. I mean, live your life.
But it's something to consider.
It's just something to consider. And again, I only take it to heart as much as I do because we heard from so many local people that was the case in parts of Ecuador. So, yeah. Enough harping on that.
Yeah.
It didn't ruin our trip by any means.
No, not at all.
We wouldn't not go back because of it. It's just something that you have to consider.
Yeah. So one of the questions we got often in our comments was, we're gonna finish the video off with this, where would you rather retire, in Cuenca or in Albania? Yeah, basically. Right?
Yes, we had people that, because we have done videos in the past on Albania, so we had some people that were asking, which would you prefer, where would you go? We both say Albania.
Yes.
And part of the reason we say that is we traveled around Albania a little bit more. We didn't have any issues with safety, was part of it. But the other part was it's an up and coming area that's seems to have a lot more going on. Cuenca's kind of slow for our taste, just for our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think Cuenca, if we kind of said if we were 10 years older and considering not traveling as much, again, because of the getting around is so much more expensive in South America, if we were looking to just settle down and find a place to stay, Cuenca would be fine. Mm-hmm. But we still want to do a lot more traveling and all that kind of stuff.
When we travel, we like to travel and explore the country, not just one part of the country.
Not just the city we live in.
Yeah, so when we were in Cuenca, we felt like we were on an island within Ecuador. In Albania, they have mountains, they have the beaches. I love beaches. The rivers were beautiful in Cuenca, don't get me wrong, but I love the beaches. And Albania is very affordable, and it does have a lot to offer.
And being on Eastern Europe, it gives you access to a lot of countries, all of Europe, Eastern Europe. You're not that far from Southeast Asia to head across. So it just, it gives us a lot more flexibility on where and when we travel versus South America, where it's much more difficult to get down to South America. And when you're down in South America, you're down in South America.
Yeah.
So
One other thing was Albania has seasons, which I like, and they're more consistent throughout the day in that season, if you understand what I mean. Like, you're not going to experience 3 seasons in one day like you do in Cuenca.
Right.
You know, if it's their winter, it's going to be cooler, might be a little bit rainy, but it's not going to be that fluctuation all the time, I think. Yeah. So there you go.
All in all, that's,
Albania.
I mean, all in all, we enjoyed our time in Cuenca. I'm glad we went. It was a very unique city within
We really
all of our
enjoyed it.
travels, and we
Yeah.
did enjoy our time there. So if you're considering it for your lifestyle, by all means, we recommend going and checking it out
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to do it for our thoughts on Cuenca. If you have your thoughts on Cuenca and you want to share any of them with us, you know where to do it. And yeah, that'll be our last Cuenca video.
This is our last one, guys. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everybody that had commented on our whole Cuenca series. We had so much fun.
Or offered us advice when we were screwing things up.
Absolutely. Check the comments, read the comments. There's a lot of great information from locals that are living there in the comments. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys will continue following our adventures, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Ciao.